Did you say something as I was walking?
I just said I moved up second.
Couple new favorites.
It looks nice. Base is better. I don't have bricks. It's not as easy. Because the foundation is cracked.
I like that. Everybody on the train.
Usually when you're really cool to see.
Kick off band. Yeah. It'd be pretty small. And maybe.
We'll call tonight's meeting of Floyd City Council to order. Mandy, would you please take a roll call?
Kent Miller.
Here.
Bob Richard.
Yeah.
Matt Audie.
Present.
Rick Brown. Tony Gingler.
Yes.
Robert Peterson.
Yes.
Lloyd Luttrell.
Present. Thank you. If you'll stand with me for the invocation and the pledge of allegiance. Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessings that you continue to bestow upon our community. Please be with our youth as they're returning to school this week, and along with their teachers and their administrators. They're such a great part of our community and our future. Continue to bless our servicemen here and abroad and our local law enforcement. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kent, do you have anything this evening?
I think the street department is doing an excellent job on resurfacing that and a lot of these streets. They really look nice, so really appreciate that. Also, the streets up in the North Campus are good. Anxious to get some more building going up there, so that'll be nice.
Okay, thank you. Matt?
No.
Lloyd?
I have one thing. I got a call from Trevor Foreman, and I'm going to pass along a thanks to Parks and Rec for a quick response to his request early this spring about baseball fields. So, thanks.
Okay. Bob?
What Ken said about the street, I really appreciate that. It looks good. I know the other people appreciate it too.
Tony?
Just enjoying the cooler weather. Good stuff.
Yeah, winter's coming.
I'll guess that.
Heather's not here tonight, but I don't know if any of you saw on PBS last week, they had a show about Osborne County and Mitchell County, and Heather did an excellent job. It was really a great presentation about Lloyd and Mitchell County. She did a great job, so it speaks well for representation.
Like if you look at what all has happened and say just roll the clock back 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, there's been a lot of changes in our community, and I'd say all of them are pretty much for the better. So we're pretty fortunate.
He did a very professional job presenting everything.
Well, I think the pool officially closed this weekend, and I meant to get down there, but I didn't make it. But again, I heard a lot of good things about it, and I know my grandchildren really enjoyed it. And I thought, you know, a few years ago when we built it, I probably wouldn't be the person in it, but my grandchildren would be, and that has come to pass. But you know, I think it's you know, the season's over and it gets a lot of use, and I think in the summertime it's a pretty important part. And I commend Lynn and her staff for the job they did of running that. And it takes a lot of people to keep that going. So thank you for your efforts on that. Go on to the staff report. Katie, do you have anything at this time?
No, not at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Glenn?
I thought we started off with an audit. I know everybody looks forward to that, but
I've been waiting for a week. Yeah.
well, Jay Langley's here he's our auditor, and I got that for a couple of weeks and whatever. So if you have any questions about that, that's our 2014 audit. We follow the calendar year, so fiscal year follows the calendar year, but anyway. That shows the cash balances, and it's got a financial position at the end of last year where we started this year. So I don't know if you have any comments or if there's any questions from the council about that audit.
Be glad to answer some questions. Normally I go through briefly go through the audit report, and I'd be glad to do that. Just if there's anyone new on the council. I know I heard earlier that you had a short agenda, so I sure don't want to mess that up. I'm scared to get too close to the podium. But I'll say a few brief words, and then just have a comment about next year, possibly some things that might, at least one thing that we might be seeing differently next year. But I'll go as quickly as I can through there, but I'll take you through the audit report and just give you some basics and make some comments, and then make a couple comments on next year. But on page 1 is the opinion, the auditor's opinion. We actually get 2 opinions on page 1 and 2. Towards the bottom of page 1, we just make it perfectly clear that the city has elected out of GAAP. That's generally accepted accounting principles, and that's a situation that is common in a lot of the municipalities in Kansas. A big percentage of them. You've wavered out of fixed asset accounting and GAAP. On the very next page, at the top of page 2, the basis of accounting that you have is called regulatory accounting. It's in the Kansas statutes. Under that method of accounting, this is an unqualified opinion, which means that there's a clean opinion, no deficiencies that we consider that would cause this not to be an unqualified opinion. Going on to page 3, this is probably the most important page in the audit report. It's an overview of all the funds that this council is responsible for and that it oversees during the last 12 months in 2014. Just a couple quick comments on that, and that is that the first column is the beginning of the year unencumbered cash balance, and then the fourth column to the right is your ending unencumbered cash balance. And you'll notice that that balance had a sizable increase last year. Your unencumbered cash went up over $614,000. There was a big increase in employee benefits, water pollution control, capital improvement fund, electric utility fund, and the water utility fund. Well, the water utility fund had a decrease. That was the one fund that had a sizable decrease. In a lot of cases, you had some capital projects going on last year, and so you had cash in there that was there for some of those projects. But it's just your financial statement's in a healthy position at that point. If you look at the very last column to the right, you'll see that that's your ending cash balance. That's adding back in the end of the year accounts payable. We always look at that to make sure that you didn't have any cash basis violations. There are no negative balances, so that is good. That's one thing that the state and the auditors look for, no negatives in that column. Going on to the notes, there's just a couple notes I want to draw your attention to. The first one is on page 6, note 4. Briefly, this is a note where we review your securities that you have on all the deposits. You have a sizable amount of money, not only at the end of the year, but throughout the year. So we always make sure that it's fully secured, either through FDIC insurance or what is referred to as joint custody receipts. That's where the bank takes some of their investments and puts your name on it along with their name, so that you're fully secured there. And in the last column, or next to the last paragraph, it talks about the city, saying that it's fully secured. Also the library, we check it also, and it was fully secured at the end of this year, last year, and throughout the year. Last year we had a couple months that had a problem there, but we didn't have any problems on either the city or the library this year. Page 8, note 11, is a note that we had last year, but it's just one that says, talks about the Beloit Trail Commission. That's a bank account that's private donations, but it's held in the city's federal ID number. And you don't have access to those funds, but we report it since it's in the ID number of the city. So that's just a note there for anyone who wonders about that. I make a comment on page 9, note 12. Last year you had a refunding bond, and there's some information in that note that refers to the interest rate and the what it was used for, and also whether there was a net present savings or cost on the issuance of that bond. Going on to page 10 and 11, these are important in case you have any citizens that ask you any questions or you're concerned about the debt of the city. On page 10, this is a summary of all the debt. It shows you the beginning of the year balances, and you can see that it was $10,445,000. And then the next column to the right shows the addition, which is the refunding bond. And then the next column to the right are all the payments or reductions, how much was paid on each. And you can see where you use the proceeds of those refunding to pay off some bonds. Shows your end of the balance amount, and it also shows the amount of interest that you paid throughout the year for those individual debt service. You only had one new capital lease, and that was on the Dodge Charger, and that was added to the other leases that you have. The next page, page 11, is the debt service schedule, and that shows when the debt will be paid off and what year amounts will be due, and the total amount that will be required during those years. The first 5 years are shown independently, and then it goes in groups of 5 years after that. So that's some information that's kind of good if you're making some decisions. Going on to Schedule 1, which is on page 13. An important part of what we're going to do tonight is adopt a budget, and we always compare what you spend with that budget that you adopted. Of course, this is compared to 2014's budget. The first column to the left is what you adopted. We go through it and we take a look and adjust for budget credits. That's refunds or reimbursements that you would have received, and you did receive some in the law enforcement fund. And then we come up with the total budget comparison. We compare it to what you spent, and you'll notice that all of the dollars in the far right-hand column are negative. That means you had budget authority left over. You didn't overspend any of the funds. So that's another thing the state and your auditor looks for. There are several pages after that that shows in detail all of the funds. If you're interested in any one in particular, like the general fund or the employee benefit, you can look through those, and those show in more detail what's going on in those funds. The one thing that I did want to mention is that, especially in relationship to the debt service, next year there will be a new report. It's a disclosure that we'll be making on your financial statements, The state commissioned some actuaries to take a look at the CAPERS funds, and it's pretty well known that the CAPERS retirement fund is underfunded. So there's been a new mandate to start to disclose on audit reports how much that each entity, municipal entity or school district, their CAPERS, their employees' pensions are underfunded. And so you'll probably see that in next year's audit report. It will not show up as a debt service, it will show up as a footnote. It's going to be a sizable amount of money, and so most of the bond companies say that they're going to take that in consideration, and it should not affect credit ratings. So that's the Kansas bond companies that issue bonds. Hopefully, if other companies outside the state work with you, they'll take that into consideration too. That report just became available yesterday. I've not looked to your city to see what that figure is yet, but probably will be looking at that and share that with Glenn. You should get a letter from the state.
Yes.
I don't think you've received it.
Haven't got it yet.
But that's something that will show up and will probably cause some conversation in years to come. Knowing how our state has done different things in the past, people are concerned that down the road they may look to the cities or the school districts to help in that situation to make that a smaller amount. But we'll study that and see what the state does and the legislature in years to come. But I just want to make sure all our audit clients are aware that that is going to be information that will be in next year's audit report. Other than that, I'd just like to say that this is a very good audit this year. Last year we made some recommendations. I believe there's 4 or 5 of them. Of course, every year when we've done that, the following year we look to see if those items have been taken care of. Each one of those was corrected, and they were minor things, but they were all addressed, and we were pleased that really we have the only comment we have as far as what we would consider a deficiency, and that's required for us to disclose, and that is that we prepare your audit report. Normally, in order not to say that, that would have to be a document that was prepared internally, and then we come in and just check it. That's common disclosure we make on all our audits, but that was in a letter that we sent to the city. Be glad to answer any questions either about my comments or the audit report. Staff does an excellent job, and I think we're improving every year.
That's very good to hear. Okay, well, thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Maddie, thank you and your staff for doing a good job also.
Oh, right to the we were good.
All right, let's see. Glenn, back to you again.
Back, yes, we have some guests further here. Solomon Valley Transportation Board is here tonight. I know we got some representatives here. So if you guys want to take over and show us what we've been doing here for the past year or so, and introduce our new director here.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good to see you guys. I see a lot of familiar faces there. On behalf of the citizens, we really appreciate all the hard work you do, and totally agree with Tom's comment that you look back 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, things are really just continuing to go up for the city, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Jay Rao. I'm Vice President of Solomon Valley Transportation, and I have been with it since the start. And this is our new transportation coordinator. This is Tammy Kiminoff, and I'll turn it over right now to her, and then we'll come back later.
We'd like to thank you tonight for your past support of SVT, and the SVT board appreciates your collaborative work with the city of Beloit to provide transportation to the public. Tonight we're here to give you some feedback and growth and development of SVT during service during the 2014-15 fiscal year. Jay's passing out a packet of statistics of SVT since the beginning. It's when it started, and so we'll be going over that with you tonight.
Fires up front.
Thank you.
We're okay. Sure. Okay, we get along. Wow. This is our report. We get one of these every year that details how we're coming along. On page 2 is our board of directors, and I think what we really want to point out with our board of directors is the wide variation of people that are on our board. We try very hard to really incorporate our stakeholders, those who would benefit. As an example, I'm on there as the Silverhead legislator and also as representative of Metro County Council on Aging. We have Hilltop Lodge, we have hospital reps, we have from both of the other 2 counties that we're now working with, we have our emergency management director. I think as you go up and down that list, you'll see we really try and incorporate on our board anybody who really, their group would really benefit from what SBT has to offer. And I think that's one of the reasons we've been really successful, because we try very hard to incorporate people that we know they have a stake in what we're trying to do. And I think it really makes a positive influence on our meetings and helps us come up with some quality decisions because we all have the same end goal in mind. I think that's huge. If you look at page 3, you see the transformation from July 2011 up through June of this year. And prior to that, just as a point of reference, prior to July of 2011, we were averaging about 16 to 20 trips a month with 1 vehicle and a husband-wife driver team. They had a cell phone, and that's what they worked with. 16 to 20 a month. Last month, we were at 970. That gives you an idea of what we've done. More importantly, it gives you an idea of the need in our community, in our surrounding area, for what we're trying to do to help people stay here and not feel, especially once they get to where they're not comfortable driving, or even if they lose their license, they don't feel like they have to move somewhere because we don't accommodate them in Mitchell County, Jewell County, Osborne County. And at this point now, we really feel like, we're still not there, but we really feel like that people can stay here comfortably and know that they still can have the services that they really need to have if they're going to stay in rural Kansas.
I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the growth and the development that we've had in Jewell County, as well as the growth in Osborne County. In May of 2014 in Jewell County, we began to explore the opportunity to create a transit system for the citizens of Jewell County. When we first started out, our goal was to raise between $10,000 and $12,000, and we well exceeded that goal. In Jewell County, we were able to raise over $27,000, so that was huge. The 1st of March of this year, we began providing part-time transportation in Jewell County, and then in July, we began 5 days a week transportation in Jewell County. And for Osborne County began transportation in November of 2013, and Solomon Valley began to provide transportation for that county at that time. So it just seems like that we just keep growing and expanding, and we are actually planning on even growing more. And so I'll look forward next year to be able to report more growth to you than I did tonight. So through partnership like the one with the City of Beloit, we are better able to serve our population with transportation. And tonight we ask you to continue your support to SBT with the annual pledge of $3,000 that is slated for your budget. With this pledge of resource, SBT can write the federal state funding to assist with operating funds and fleet purchases and replacements. The grant is a matching grant, so every dollar that we receive in support, we can triple that amount. So whatever someone gives, we will get 3 times that back from the state and federal government. We want to tell you that we appreciate your support, the City of Beloit, for the past years, and we hope to see you continue to add an annual pledge in years to come.
We have she talked about the funding. We are through KDOT and also through the Federal Transportation Highways. By writing our grant, then those are matched, and that's what separates SVT from a lot of the surrounding counties. An awful lot of them, the bus either doesn't leave the county, or in some instances, they don't even leave the city limits. Which means if you have to go to Salina 5 days a week for 6 weeks for chemo, in Mitchell County, Jewell County, Osborne County, we can see to it that part of that time we're going to help you get there. You're not going to have to totally rely on a child who can drive you, or a neighbor or something like that. We can help take that burden off of you. It means a lot of work because we do have to go out and raise a lot of money, and that's why your $3,000 is so appreciated, because that's really worth somewhere overall somewhere around $12,000. And when our budget now is in excess of $200,000 with all the vehicles, 14 drivers instead of 2. 7 vehicles plus a bus, you can just see how the need is there and the people are utilizing that service, and we really thank you for that. Any questions you have on our system?
What are some of the other communities around here shipping in? Are they shipping in a comparable amount, or?
Mitchell County, or are you talking about the other counties?
Just other municipalities in the service area that you guys.
Well, Jewell County, Osborne County, both are big stakes players. It's a little bit interesting in the fact that in Mitchell County, we are more inclined to have businesses and organizations as our primary donors. In Osborne County, it's more likely individuals. In Jewell County, it's probably a mix of both, I think, more than what we have. But and all of them, they're very good about helping out. But the 3 counties themselves really do a great job of one way or the other, through the organizations, through the people, through the governments, do a great job of helping us reach that goal, because without our match, we don't get their money.
So Osborne, the city of Osborne is giving, the city of Downs is giving, like, Jewell, we're giving.
Yes.
Hey, did Concordia ever get a service like that?
They have in town.
Because I always feel good. I go to a meeting over there every quarter, and there's, how do you guys do that?
Yeah.
And by the way, you're thanking us. I want to thank you guys, because you're out there every day doing this. We all get a big fat paycheck. but no, you guys are to be commended for all of the efforts you put in.
I know the silver-haired legislator from Fort Cloud County is really interested in what we're doing and trying to accomplish, and is very upset. He lives in Clyde. He knew of a person that lived a mile and a half from Concordia but had to go see the doctor, had no way of getting there. They could not go out and get him with their transportation system. He had to find another way to get to that doctor. And they don't do anything of going to Salina, with the advent of Jewell County now, we are taking people to Hastings and Grand Island. Of course, the Osborne people are more inclined to go to Hayes. Our people are more inclined to go to Salina, but just in the last 4 months, we've made 3 trips to KU Med for somebody that had to go. We make a lot of trips to Salina, to Wichita, to Great Bend, to Concordia 3 days a week for dialysis. If people have needs, we want to try and meet them. I like to say when I go to all my other organizations, we don't want somebody to feel penalized because they choose to live in rural Kansas. We want them to have the same advantages. All the cities have some form of public transportation. So do we. And that's the way we want it.
Right. And it's not just medical needs that we service. It's public transportation, and so that means that it's open for any type of transportation that you might need. Medical is top priority. I'll just share a little story with you about this past weekend. We had 2 couples from Beloit that needed to get away for a family reunion, and they went by way of Solomon Valley Transportation. And so, we're just not here just for elderly or for, we're just here for everyone, any type of need that you might have.
Do you charge for an individual for
It's a requested donation.
Okay.
If they want to pay, they can. If they aren't comfortable, they don't. It's $1 if you stay in the county each way, or stay in any of the 3 counties. It's $2 if we have to leave the county. So when we take somebody to Salina, it's $2 down, $2 back. That's the suggested donation, but they don't have to. Now the trips like she was just talking about, they pay more. But we don't want anybody to have to worry about, I don't know if I have the money to get to my appointment.
What about Wichita?
Same thing, $2 each way. And some of the counties, like I know Wabunsee County, they leave the county, it's $20. The crazy part is, whatever we take in as donations is reduced from our state grant. So no big deal.